Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wall Street Reporter's next Superstock live stream for today, February 13th, 2020. We have an exciting new company to present you today. It's FaceBank Group. Stock symbol is FBNK, and the CEO is John Textor. For those of you who are new to Wall Street Reporter's next Superstock live stream, our premise is very simple. We're looking for companies which have 10x upside potential. And our goal is to get you those companies which are right now at key inflection points, which have multiple catalysts in place that can really drive transformational growth and upside appreciation in these stocks in the months ahead. Most importantly, one of the key ingredients is a CEO who gets it when it comes to maximizing shareholder value. And I think most of you will agree that our formula is working. Just in the past couple of months, two of our recent presenters have increased over 350% each. And today we're going to find out if FaceBank Group is going to be the next big winner. So the format for today is simple. John is going to present for about 20-25 minutes, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. And it's really your questions that makes these events special. So please make sure to submit your questions. We'll ask your questions, and we'll have some great information today. So with that said, please welcome John Textor. John, you're on.
Great. Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate you setting this up, and thank you everybody for your time who's out on the call today. FaceBank Group is probably a pretty unique company compared to what you've seen in the past. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a digital human company. I'm going to show you some examples of technology. We're going to keep it fairly macro today, since this is likely a new industry for many of you. And we'll try and get to some of the more detailed business model issues as well. But we're certainly going to have a number of follow-up calls that Jack and Wall Street Reporter has already planned, and a number of events that we've planned as well. So FaceBank Group is a technology-driven intellectual property company. We're focused on the digital human space. It's a market that you wouldn't recognize as an industry. Our goal is to develop digital human technology, acquire other promising companies in the digital human space. As much as we have been given credit, much in the past through our operating subsidiaries, Pulse Evolution, and some things that we've done personally for great digital humans or virtual humans, it's pretty clear that you can never be the best in the world at anything for long if you can ever make that claim. And we have a nice balance of technology development strategy and an acquisition strategy to recognize not only our strengths internally as a company, as people, but also the great things that are happening out in the industry. It's a roll-up play as well of a digital human industry that is largely not considered an industry, something that we think is driving incredible applications in entertainment, education, artificial intelligence, and we intend to be one of the leaders in helping to define this as an industry and hopefully be the first great company in this industry. We're very likely, the world's first company to introduce digital likeness and personal facial assets for consumers as an intellectual property play. Obviously, celebrities are already considered intellectual property. They trademark their faces, they put them into apps, both in physical photographic form and also digital form. But I think there's a good chance we're the first company to come along and talk to you as a consumer and say, your face is an asset, you're scanning it into your phone, you're using it in apps, you're unlocking not only your phone, but maybe pay apps, you're using it in entertainment and games application. Well, it's intellectual property. You're no different than Justin Bieber and David Beckham and everybody else that might want to protect their asset and use it creatively and in some cases commercially. Our goal is to collect, protect, and activate what I think could be one of the largest ever contemplated intellectual property portfolios, and that's the world of consumer faces, not David Beckham and Elton John and Floyd Mayweather, as we've recently signed a relationship. But you're scanning your phone, you're using your face, you're having fun with it. Your face is an asset, and one of the largest intellectual property portfolios we've ever contemplated is the world's faces as they're being activated and enjoyed by their users, and hopefully, and with our help, with their consent. and that's a pretty big goal, and we're going to try and tackle it. To start, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up as a programmer. Probably was writing my first programs in very simple programming languages back when I was 16 and 17. And by the time I got more serious about technology, I did get distracted. In 1987, I mean, let's face it, the investment banks were paying more than I probably could have made as a programmer. So I was always a technology guy at a young age, enjoyed technologies, but I also learned how to raise capital for businesses, how to combine businesses, and I was at Lehman Brothers for a good amount of time. Ultimately, the inventor side of me, or the fix-it side of me, the technology side of me, I got involved in the early internet applications in the mid 90s. There's a funny quote on the screen. I was featured by Forbes magazine in 2016 as Hollywood's virtual reality guru. That could not be less true. Sometimes you get bad headlines that you think are untrue. Sometimes, like this one, you get great headlines. But I think what it really says is I've been around in the space for a long time, and early virtual reality, early online 3D experiences, early multi-user game environments, and along the way, if Forbes wants to give me more credit that I'm due, there's certainly a whole lot of people smarter than me out in Hollywood. I was a senior executive, chairman, co-chairman of Digital Domain, executive responsibility for about 25 blockbuster feature films at Digital Domain. It was incredible. The Academy Award-winning visual effects studio. We had great success there, doubling revenues, returning that company to prominence, bringing in incredible new films, along with my partner, who was a major film director. We did have great difficulty with that business model as a services model. Our Los Angeles studio, you could win Academy Awards all day long, but it's a business that by and large was a services model, and it's now propagated all over the globe, competing with labor in China, India, elsewhere. So we had good times at Digital Domain, and we also learned some hard lessons at Digital Domain. In the end, that company was restructured by my Chinese partner, ended up being about a $3.5 billion IPO 6 months after my departure in 2012 in Hong Kong. So the company that was built by the many digital artists and by my predecessors and under my leadership for, I guess, about 7 years, ended up being incredibly valuable. The lessons we learned is that you got to own IP. And when I left, I focused on my knowledge of character, my knowledge of intellectual property, and we created FaceBank ultimately. And I hope you're going to be pretty impressed with what we've done. Other significant successes in my life, I'm financially probably much more known for Art Technology Group. I got together with some Wesleyan friends back in the mid to late 90s. The company had been dropped by SoftBank and Bain and some others. Frankly, the capital we brought in, my partner went on the board, helped them reform. The CEO and the chairman, with our backing, ended up being a top 5 IPO in 1999, $10.5 billion market cap, liquid, Hambrick & Quist IPO. Our $2.4 million investment, we returned about $550 million in liquidity, cash, tradable securities, in a highly liquid stock. So our technology group, one of the leaders in internet personalization back in the late 90s. BabyUniverse.com, small turnaround. Why do I throw this in? Well, along the way, when you're an investor and a company doesn't quite have what they need in terms of management, sometimes you have to enter the business. I learned a lot of my operating experience there at Baby Universe. It was a turnaround investment when we showed up. They weren't making payroll either. We put $1 million in, got them public on the American Stock Exchange. When I came in as the CEO, the stock was at about $4 a share. Only took about 8 months to get it up to $12 a share in the year 2007. And we sold it to eToys in a $270 million deal. So a tremendous turnaround and great success for us there. Virtual Bank, one of the world's earliest internet banks. I was the largest shareholder through my holding company, was a founder, launched in one of the toughest months in history, May 2000. Bad time to come out as an internet company, but it was a solid technology platform, a great business concept. We quickly gathered about $4 billion in customer deposits. One of our first customers, the family office of Michael Bay, he brought, sorry, not Michael Bay, Bill Gates, actually a little bigger than Michael Bay, my old partner at Digital Domain. So he brought in Microsoft. We became the in-house internet bank of Microsoft, WorldCom, EMC, successfully sold that in 2004. And Virtual Bank, I'm very proud to say, is still operating 20 years later as one of the earliest internet banks, obviously quite successful. Back to FaceBank. Yeah, along the way, we've learned a lot about technology. We've learned about content. We've learned about businesses of scale, and that really all comes together in our development and roll-up strategy. In terms